Hello, everyone. Welcome to Awaken Your Freedom Show. Please subscribe to support our growing community. It really
It
helps.
really, really does. It lets us keep doing these deep dives for you.
So today we are tackling a piece of source material that I think a lot of people have a pretty visceral reaction to. I mean, even the title kind of creates a divide.
Oh, for sure.
We're looking at the 10X rule by Grant Cardone. And I'll be honest, when I first heard of it, I was kind of ready to roll my eyes. It just felt like, you know, aggressive sales bro energy.
It definitely has that wrapper. I mean, Cardone is a polarizing figure. He's loud, he's brash. But our job here is to sort of strip away the personality and just look at the mechanics.
Right.
And when you actually deconstruct the math in this book, it's surprisingly grounded. It's almost like he's solving an engineering problem.
That's what hooked me. The core idea here isn't just work harder because it's noble.
Mm.
It's framed as an antidote to a very specific feeling,
Mm.
being stuck.
Yeah.
You know that feeling where you're checking all the boxes, you're doing the work, but the needle just isn't moving.
Right. And the usual response is to blame all the variables you can't control. Oh, the market's soft. The algorithm changed. I just don't have the connections. We start looking outward.
Exactly. And Cardone just comes in and says, look, the problem isn't the market. The problem is you are woefully, completely underestimating the sheer volume of energy it takes to move something from a dead stop.
So let's get into that core thesis then. What is the 10x rule, technically speaking?
It's basically an estimation principle.
Exactly. The fundamental claim is that for any goal, launching a product, losing weight, whatever, we as human beings have this massive cognitive bias to underestimate the effort required.
We always assume the best case scenario.
We do. We think, if I just write the business plan, the investors are going to show up. Cardone argues that to guarantee success, you have to assume the task will take 10 times the effort and 10 times the resources you initially planned for.
So it's a buffer, like a huge insurance policy against reality.
It's a massive buffer. Most people plan for X amount of work. Then they hit the first obstacle, a vendor quits, the economy dips, they get sick, and suddenly X isn't enough.
And they stall out.
They stall. But if you go in with 10x intensity from the start, that obstacle is just a speed bump. You have enough momentum to just run right over it.
So for our mission today, we're here to dismantle this whole idea of average, because the source material makes a really bold claim that playing it safe, aiming for average, is actually the most dangerous strategy you can adopt.
That's the mission. So let's start with that first major principle, the war on normal.
I found this part fascinating because, I mean, we're biologically wired to want to be normal, right? To fit in the middle of the herd. It just feels safer.
It does. The antelope in the middle doesn't get eaten by the lion.
Exactly. But Cardone says average is the enemy. So why is the middle so dangerous in the modern world?
Because average assumes stability. I mean, look at the middle class or the average business. They operate on really thin margins. They have just enough to get by if and only if everything goes right.
Right.
Cardone's argument is that average is fine in fair weather. But the moment a storm hits a recession, a health crisis, some disruptive tech like AI, the average gets wiped out first.
That's a pretty scary thought. It implies that average is actually a state of fragility.
Yeah.
You're just one bad event away from zero.
Precisely. You're operating without a cushion. The 10x mindset just assumes chaos is coming. It assumes the market's going to collapse.
So you build a level of success so high that even if you lose half your business, you're still okay.
You're still standing. You're still solvent.
The notes also brought up some stats about industry dominance that really drive this home. This is that power law distribution, isn't it?
It is, and we see it everywhere. Look at YouTube. You've got millions of creators, but the views aren't, distributed evenly.
Not at all.
The top 1% of channels probably get 90% of the total watch time. Or think about a sales floor. It's almost never an even spread. You usually have one or two people just crushing it, earning more than the rest of the team combined.
And our instinctive reaction to that is to say, oh, they must be geniuses, or they got lucky, or they had a rich dad.
Right. We chalk it up to talent or magic because, that lets us off the hook. But Cardone argues, and the data really supports this, the differentiator usually isn't skill, not at first. It's volume.
It's just raw output.
The person dominating isn't doing a little bit more. They're on a completely different frequency. They aren't making 10 calls while you make 5. They're making 100 calls. They're just flooding the zone.
Okay, let's get practical because I want to play devil's advocate here. I know some listeners are thinking this. So say I have a small business, maybe a personal brand. It's stagnant. I'm posting on LinkedIn, I'm sending emails, but it's just crickets. The 10X rule says do more. But isn't that just busy work? Shouldn't I be trying to figure out a smarter strategy instead of just banging my head against the wall 10 times harder?
That is the trap. That is the number one trap that smart people fall into. We love to hide behind strategy because strategy feels safe. It feels intellectual.
Right. I need to refine my logo.
I need to research the perfect hashtag, or I need to rewrite my mission statement. Cardone calls this productive procrastination.
Productive procrastination.
Yeah.
Wow. I felt that in my soul. It feels like work, but it's not actually moving the needle.
And the book argues that massive action is what creates the strategy. Think about it. If you make 10 sales calls, you don't have enough data. You don't know if your script is bad. You might have just called 10 bad numbers.
True.
But if you make 1,000 calls, now you have data. Now you see patterns. Now you know, oh, people hang up when I say this specific word.
So action brings clarity. You can't think your way into the right strategy. You have to act your way into it.
Exactly. Action isn't just progress, it's clarity. You can't steer a parked car. You have to be moving to get that feedback from the market. The feedback loop from 100 iterations teaches you more in a week than a year of strategizing will.
The source used real estate agents as the prime example here. Can you break that down? Because I think we've all seen the difference.
Sure. So the average agent, they wait. They get a listing, they put it on the MLS, and they sit by the phone, hoping someone calls.
That's passive action.
It's the bare minimum, the top 1%. They assault the market. They don't just list it. They're calling every neighbor within 5 miles. They're running digital ads. They host open houses every single day, not just on Sundays.
Wait.
They create a storm of activity.
Volume creates certainty. That was the phrase that really stuck out to me.
It's a great phrase. If you take enough shots, you're going to hit the target eventually. You're basically removing luck from the equation by taking up so much space that the market has to respond to you.
You become unavoidable.
Yeah.
Okay, so that covers the action part. But we have to talk about the target, because the other half of this deep dive is about setting goals. And this is where I think people get really defensive.
Oh, yeah.
We're all taught our whole lives to set SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, timely.
And Cardone basically takes the R for realistic and just throws it right in the trash. He despises the R.
Why? I mean, isn't realism good? If I set a goal to be a billionaire by Tuesday, I'm just setting myself up for disappointment, right?
Well, there's a difference between delusional and ambitious. But his argument is that realism is usually just a mask for fear. We set low targets to protect our egos. If I set a goal to get 5 new clients and I get 6, I feel great. I won. But did I really reach my potential? No, I just lowered the bar so I could step over it.
So the psychological trick is that these small goals, they just don't motivate us.
Exactly. If a goal doesn't scare you a little, it's not going to change you. But more importantly, and this is the key insight, the size of your goal dictates the strategy you use. This is where the magic happens.
Can you unpack that a little? How does the goal actually change the strategy?
Okay, let's use a startup example from the source. Imagine you launch a software company. If your goal is to get, say, 10 customers this month, what's your plan?
I'd probably just email my friends, maybe post on my personal Facebook, ask for referrals, use my existing network.
Right. Low effort, low cost, low risk. You're using a walking strategy because the destination is just down the block. Now, what if I told you that if you don't get 1,000 customers this month, the company explodes? Can you just email your friends?
No way. That wouldn't even scratch the surface. I'd have to run ads, hire a sales team, build a funnel. I'd have to sleep in the office, partner with other companies.
Exactly. The 10x goal forced you to change the vehicle. You stopped walking and you started building a jet. That's the whole point. Even if you miss the 1,000 customers, let's say you fail and only get 20% of the way there.
You still have 200 customers.
200, which is 20 times more than the realistic plan where you were aiming for just 10.
Wow. So you failed your big goal, but you absolutely decimated your realistic one.
Correct. Small goals guarantee mediocrity because they invite small actions. Big goals demand big systems, which gives you a fighting chance at dominance.
But what happens when you're in the thick of it? You've set that massive target for 1,000 customers. You're 2 weeks in, you're exhausted, and the numbers just aren't there. The rational thing to do is say, okay, maybe I was too ambitious. Let's lower the target to 500.
And this is principle number 5. Never reduce the target.
Never. Even if it looks totally impossible.
Never. Because the moment you reduce that goal, you're letting yourself off the hook. You are silently accepting defeat. You're saying, the problem is the goal, not my effort.
So instead of shrinking the dream, you have to expand the effort.
You have to expand your effort to match the dream. It's the athlete mindset, isn't it? If a football team is losing at halftime, the coach doesn't say, hey guys, let's just try to lose by less.
No, of course not.
No. They adjust the strategy, they play harder, they take more risks. Successful entrepreneurs don't retreat when the numbers are down, they double down. They don't look at the scoreboard and give up, they look at the clock and speed up.
This leads us into the mindset shift, which the book calls uncomfortable. And I think this is where it loses some people, but also where it finds its diehard fans. It changes how you see success. It stops being a nice to have and becomes a duty.
Yes. Success as a duty, an obligation, a responsibility. That's principle number 4.
That sounds heavy. It sounds almost, I don't know, moralistic. Like, why do I have a duty to be rich?
It's meant to be heavy. See, most people treat success as something selfish. We think, I want to be rich or I want to be famous. And because it feels selfish, we feel guilty about going for it too hard.
We don't want to seem greedy.
We say things like, oh, I'm happy with what I have. I don't need more.
Right, the whole money doesn't buy happiness narrative.
Which is fine until you realize that your lack of success actually limits your ability to help other people.
Yeah.
Cardone argues that if you have the potential to do more, to build something that helps people, to create jobs, to generate wealth that can be donated, and you choose not to because you want to be comfortable, that is actually the selfish act.
Wow. Okay, so playing small doesn't make you humble. It just makes you impotent.
It makes you unavailable to help at scale. I mean, think about the leaders who build companies that employ thousands of people. Those jobs didn't exist until someone decided to 10x their vision.
And their success created mortgage payments and health insurance for thousands of families.
Right. If they had stayed realistic and kept their business small, all that value just wouldn't exist.
That puts a totally different spin on it. It's not about buying a Ferrari, it's about building capacity.
Correct. It's about fulfilling your potential so you can be a resource. You can't give to charity if you're broke. You can't hire people if you're struggling. You have to put your own oxygen mask on first, and then make sure that mask is working perfectly.
And to get to that level, we have to talk about the O word, obsession.
Yes. The 10X rule explicitly rejects the whole idea of work-life harmony or balance, at least in the building phase. It champions obsession.
Which is usually seen as a negative thing. If you call someone obsessed, you're usually telling them to chill out. It's almost an insult.
In the average world, yeah. But in the world of high performance, obsession is a requirement. You cannot dabble your way to dominance. You can't be kind of interested in winning an Olympic gold.
You can't be part-time committed to building a billion-dollar company.
The examples are just undeniable. We talk about Kobe Bryant a lot on this show, but he is the perfect fit.
The archetype.
Absolutely. He was in the gym at 4 a.m. Why? Not because he was punishing himself, but because if he practiced at 4 and then again at 8 and again at 2 and again at 6, he was getting in 4 sessions a day.
Well, the average player got 2.
Exactly. Over 5 years, the mathematical advantage he built was just insurmountable. It wasn't just talent, it was obsession with the process.
Or Elon Musk. Love him or hate him, the output is just, it's undeniable.
Working 100-hour weeks. Now, we have to be careful here. The source material admits this is intense, it's draining. But the point stands. Obsession is an energy source. When you're obsessed with solving a problem, you don't feel work fatigue the same way. It becomes your fuel.
It's like those artists who release music constantly versus once every 3 years. The obsessed ones break through because they're always there.
Obsession beats talent, because obsession shows up every single day. Talent often takes the weekend off. Talent gets bored. Obsession does not.
Okay, but here's the dark side.
Yeah.
And I think this is a real fear for a lot of our listeners. If I start acting like this, if I start 10xing my calls, my posts, my ambition people are going to talk.
Yeah.
And not always in a nice way.
Yep.
I'm going to annoy people. I'm going to get criticized. I might lose friends who think I've changed.
Good.
Good. That sounds cold.
It's necessary. Principle number 7. Criticism is a sign you are doing something right.
That is so hard to swallow. We're social creatures. We hate being ostracized.
Of course. But you have to reframe what criticism is. In the modern economy, criticism is a byproduct of attention. And attention is the currency of business.
So if you're not getting any, you're broke.
You're broke. If you're taking massive action, you are creating friction. You're taking up space. You're disrupting the status quo. People who are comfortable with average will feel threatened by your intensity because it highlights their own lack of action.
So the hate is actually a confirmation signal.
It's a sign of visibility. The source material puts it brutally. The only people not getting criticized are those doing nothing remarkable. If nobody is talking about you, even negatively, It means you are not playing big enough. You are invisible.
That is raw. If you're flying under the radar, you're safe, but you're totally irrelevant.
Exactly. Criticism means you've arrived. You have to develop a thick skin and see that it's a side effect of success, not a sign of failure. You don't see any statues built of critics,
No, you don't. So I want to pivot to how this looks in the wild. We've talked a lot of theory. But the source emphasizes this idea that volume creates momentum. It helps you get through what people call the dip.
Yes. Think about a rocket ship. This is my favorite analogy from the text. The amount of energy and fuel required just to get that rocket off the launch pad and through the atmosphere is massive. It's totally disproportionate.
It uses almost all its fuel in the first few minutes.
Right. But once it breaks orbit, it just glides.
But most people stop while they're still fighting against gravity.
Right. They put in average effort, the rocket lifts 2 feet off the ground, and then it crashes back down. Then they say, see, rockets don't work. The 10x rule is about applying enough initial thrust to escape gravity. You have to burn hard at the beginning to get that freedom later.
And that thrust, that action, builds confidence. I think a lot of people get that backward. They wait for confidence before they act.
Oh, all the time. I'll make the sales calls when I feel confident. I'll launch the podcast when I feel ready.
Right.
It is completely backward. You don't get confidence from thinking, you get confidence from doing. Volume creates competence. If you make 10 calls, you're nervous, your voice shakes. If you make 100 calls, you start to get the hang of it. If you make 1,000 calls, you're a master. You can do it in your sleep. The confidence comes from the work.
So confidence compounds. I love that.
It does, and that's why stopping is so dangerous.
Yeah.
When things get hard, people's instinct is to slow down to evaluate. But that kills your momentum. When you hit a wall, you don't slow down to look at it. You accelerate to smash right through it.
So bringing this all together then, this isn't just a rah-rah motivational speech. This is really about a standard of living.
That's the final takeaway. 10x isn't a mood. You don't do it just when you feel energetic on a Tuesday morning. It's a personal baseline.
It's your operating system.
It is. You expect problems. You over-prepare. You over-commit. You outwork. You outlast.
It's just resetting your personal thermostat.
Right. When others slow down, you accelerate. Because, as Cardone says, in a competitive world, extra effort isn't extra. It is the price of admission. It's just the cost of entry for the life you actually want.
Okay, I'm fired up. But we always like to leave our listeners with something tangible. We can't just listen to this and then go back to scrolling Instagram. So we have a challenge from the source material for you today.
And this is a simple one, but it is not easy. It requires some real honesty.
Pick one area of your life, just one. Don't try to overhaul everything at once. It could be your business revenue, your career, your fitness, learning a new language, whatever.
And then ask yourself this one specific question. What would 10x action look like here this week? Not in a year. This week.
And be specific. If you usually make 5 sales calls, what does 50 look like? Could you actually do 50? If you go to the gym 3 times a week, what does going every single day look like?
If you write 1 article a month, what does writing 10 look like?
And then, and this is the kicker, just do it. Do it imperfectly. Do it loudly. Do it consistently. Don't worry about the quality yet. Just worry about the volume.
Because success doesn't reward intention. It rewards action multiplied. Exactly. And here's a final thought to chew on. We often hesitate because we're afraid of wasting our effort. We think, what if I do all this work and it doesn't pay off?
Right.
But the 10x rule flips that on its head. The only wasted effort is the effort that was too small to generate a result in the first place.
Oof, that's good. The only wasted effort is the effort that was too small.
Momentum creates confidence. If you're sitting there waiting to feel ready, you are losing. Action must come first. The feelings will follow the actions. So stop thinking and start moving.
That is the perfect place to wrap this up. We hope this deep dive lit a fire under you today. To close, please don't forget to subscribe on your favorite platform, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or Spotify to stay sharp and never miss a drop of knowledge that could change your financial life.
Thank you.